Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of my tutorial video channel. This is part 10 of interaction between demand and supply and equilibrium price and quantity in the market. In part 8, I had discussed the impact on the market and the economic consequences of the decision of the government of a country to lift import ban on automobiles. Provided that situation in existence, in this video I will discuss what would happen, that means what would be the impact on the market, on the domestic market, and what would be the economic consequences if the government now decides to provide subsidy to automobile industry. So we start with the situation when the import ban on automobile is lifted by the government. Okay, this is domestic market. And here we draw the diagram for global market. On x-axis we measure quantity and on y-axis we measure price. Let Q sub D and S sub D be the domestic demand curve and supply curve respectively, and the equilibrium price and quantity are P sub D and Q sub D. Now we draw the demand curve and supply curve in the global market. Let Q sub G and S sub G are the global demand curve, D sub G and S sub G are the global demand curve and supply curve respectively. So the equilibrium price and quantity are P sub G and Q sub G. Now, as a result of lifting the ban on import of automobiles, the global price would start to prevail in the domestic market. So, a domestic price will come down from P sub D to P sub G. And you can see the line intersects Q sub D at this point and S sub D at this point. So quantity demanded at P sub G price is Q sub D G, and quantity supplied at this price is Q sub S G. So the total domestic demand is Q sub DG and the total domestic supply is Q sub SG. So domestic demand is Q sub DG and domestic supply is equal to Q sub SG. So the excess demand is Q sub DG minus Q sub SG. So this excess demand will be met by importing the automobiles. So this will be the import by the government of that country. Now, when the subsidy is provided by the government, the cost of production comes down. As a result, now the producers will be ready to sell more at P sub G price. So the global supply curve Q sub D will shift parallelly rightward. Let the new supply curve be this one. This is Q sub D dash. Right? So this line, that is the price line, intersects, sorry, this is S sub D dash, intersects the new supply curve, that is the supply curve after announcing the subsidy. Correct? That intersect at this point. Let this be Q sub SG dash. This means the domestic supply is increased by this amount. This will be the increase in domestic supply. That is, when subsidy is declared by the government, so after subsidy, domestic supply, that is goods produced by domestic producers, domestic supply would increase correct? Because subsidy is equivalent to decrease in cost of production. So as subsidy is declared by the government, the cost of production falls. So the supply curve, the domestic supply curve shifts parallelly rightward from S sub D to S sub D dash. As a result, the domestic supply increases and import falls. Here, the import is how much? Q sub DG minus Q sub SG dash. That is, amount of import has fallen. Now, what will be the impact on the buyers or purchasers? There won't be any impact on the demand side, because as a result of subsidy by the government to the automobile industry, the domestic demand and domestic price have remained same. The domestic demand remains Q sub DG and the domestic price remains P sub G. The only change that has taken place is import has fallen by the amount produced and supplied by domestic suppliers. That is, the domestic production is increasing and import is falling. But the buyers are neither better off nor worse off, as the domestic demand, that is domestic quantity demanded, and the domestic price, prevailing domestic price remain unchanged. So what will be the consequences? Number one, domestic production will increase. Domestic production will increase. Number two, as a result of increase in domestic production, employment will increase. Number three, import will fall. Import will fall, which implies foreign exchange, forex, can be preserved. Number four, the domestic demand and price remain unaffected. Okay, so this would happen if the government provides subsidy to the automobile industry in order to increase domestic production and check drainage of foreign exchange. So as subsidy is provided, the cost of production of the producers fall. As a result, the domestic supply curve will shift from S sub D to S sub D dash, and the domestic supply will increase from Q sub SG to Q sub SD1, Q sub SD1, right? And import will fall from Q sub DG minus Q sub SG to Q sub DG minus Q sub SG dash. And these are the economic consequences. Number one, domestic production will increase. Number two, employment would increase. Number three, import would fall. As a result, drainage of foreign exchange can be checked, which would in turn improve the balance of payment position of the country. But there is no impact on the demand side, and the domestic quantity demanded and the domestic price remain unchanged. Okay, so far so good. This is all about this video. I believe this is well understood by you. If you have any doubt in your mind, if you have any question, please feel comfortable to let me know through the comment section. I shall be more than glad to reply to all your relevant queries. If you think this video is beneficial for you, please do share the video with your friends, brothers, sisters and colleagues. And finally, thank you very much for watching this video. Goodbye and stay well.